New Centurion.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of That New Toy Smell. I'm Pixel Dan.
I'm Prince Randor, or Scotty Cash.
Scotty Cash, Prince Randor, they're kind of the same thing.
Maybe that's what I've been off doing. I've been being Prince Randor.
Yeah, where have you been?
Hiding.
Hiding?
Yeah.
You've been around more than Duvall, though. I don't think we've seen Duvall in
Maybe he's hiding better than me.
Like 8 years.
8 years.
How long has it been since we've seen Duvall on a video?
It's a little bit. It's like 7.5 years.
7.5 years.
It's a little ridiculous.
I'm exaggerating. Exaggerating a little bit with that 8 years thing. So what's going on, guys? We've got a lot of great stuff today. We're going to have a video review of the 1991 release of the Uncanny X-Men, which to me is one of my favorite toy lines just because it introduced me to X-Men and comic books in general. But before we get into that video today, we wanted to discuss a little bit of this week's hot toy news, which I wanted to talk about Shocker Toys' announcement that they have started taking pre-orders for Series 2 of the Indie Spotlight figures.
That is a correct statement.
Now, we've looked at the Indie Spotlight stuff before. You actually did a review of the Scud figure, which is a really, really cool toy. If you guys haven't seen that yet, you can always check that out on the site at thatnewtoysmell.com. Lots of toy reviews there all the time. Scotty reviewed the Scud figure. And Wave 2 is getting ready to come out here. They've got pre-orders up at shockertoys.com now. I think they come out later this year. And this is actually a really cool wave. There's a lot of figures.
Later this year? Or?
It's Q4, so it's supposed to be the end of this year. So I'd assume they're expecting them in December sometime.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah. But I know this is a wave that you're excited for.
For a couple of reasons.
For a couple of reasons.
Well, the thing I most like about the whole Indie Spotlight is there's going to be characters in there that you don't know. I had no idea who Scud was
until
he handed it to me.
Right.
And I was just like, what is this? And then I read the story and it was excellent.
Right.
So I can't wait to get some of these guys and check out their stories, because Jeff at Shocker Toys knows what he's doing. But yes, I cannot wait for colored Dick Tracy and the Tick.
That's right, Dick Tracy and the Tick. Those are, I think, the two going to be the most popular characters in this wave because of the figures in this wave, they're definitely the most recognizable.
Yeah.
Like I'm like you, and I've never really been big into a lot of the indie comics, so I don't know a lot of those characters. But when I take a look at this and I see the Tick, I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, the Tick.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember the cartoon series from when we were kids, and I know that he's been in a comic book character too. And Dick Tracy, of course. I mean, who doesn't know Dick Tracy?
And there's not a lot of. I mean, you had your old Dick Tracy toys from the movie.
Right.
I don't know, what was that, 95? Back in the day.
Old Hasbro stuff, I think.
I mean, these are posable. They're just excellent. They look perfect.
Right. And these are much more posable. They fit more with today's standards for action figures, so it really is a great series to collect, especially if you're a fan of indie comics. Or if you're guys like us, I mean, this is a great introduction to the stories of these characters just by checking out these figures.
But the best part, we're going to ruin it? Or
no, yeah, go ahead. The best part
is if you get all of the figures from Series 2 and you mail in the UPCs, you get Arthur from the Tick series. That's the only way to get Arthur, is if you get all of the figures.
Yep, they're doing a mail-away figure.
So he handcuffs you into getting Arthur, but I guarantee it's going to be worth it.
Definitely, definitely. It also says that each figure in the Tick series includes an accessory from the Tick's world. So this whole wave is very Tick-oriented, it seems. I don't know exactly what the accessory is.
Well, that's kind of how it was with Series 1 with Max.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
What
I
are those
remember
things
that.
called? The little black guy that came with Scud. I can't remember. Mix. I don't know. We'll be here all
Somebody
day.
will tell us, I'm sure. But yeah, so you get a piece from the Tick's world, and then if you buy them all, you send in the UPCs, you get an Arthur figure to go along with it. So that's really exciting,
awesome.
especially for Tick fans out there.
I want, what is it? Was it Booger Tick or Snot Tick? Mucus Tick.
Yeah, what do you, the clear
Tick.
green one?
Yeah.
I remember
Awesome.
that. I remember that.
They had a figure of that. They need to release a variant.
Get on the phone with Shocker Toys. Let them know.
Yeah.
Call them. So yeah, if this is something that you guys are interested in, I would definitely head over to shockertoys.com. They're taking pre-orders for the Wave right now. I think you can order them individually or together as the full set. But if you're a fan of the Tick and you want to get that Arthur, I would definitely recommend go ahead and pre-ordering that whole Wave, because I guarantee that some of these more popular characters like Dick Tracy and Tick are going to sell out a lot faster,
sure.
And if you miss out, you probably will miss out.
Well, then you have to go on eBay and get them for like triple the price.
Yeah, so I would. It just got a lot brighter in here. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Dick Tracy.
But yeah, shockertoys.com. You guys should definitely check that out. Order those figures and tell them That New Toy Smell sent you. I'm sure they'll like to hear that.
We should actually be having some
of these for review.
Some reviews here pretty quick.
We'll definitely have some reviews up on the site, so stay tuned for that. So that's going to go ahead and do it. That's all the toy news I really wanted to discuss today. If you guys want to hear more of the latest toy news, you can always check us out every Wednesday on the It Figures podcast. Always toy and action figure news and just, general thoughts, stuff like that. We have a good time. So
sometimes we tell stories about random boots.
Sometimes we do tell stories about random
Our guy
boots.
Kinlan.
Killen loves his story time. So the site, always have that up every Wednesday, thatnewtoysmell.com, and it's always available on iTunes. So if you guys use iTunes, do a search for It Figures. You should find us. So that's going to bring us to today's toy review.
Indeed.
We're going to go ahead. This is actually one of my reviews. I wanted to take a look at this series of X-Men figures that was pretty dear to my heart.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, got me started on collecting Marvel figures. So let's go ahead and take a look at the video review for today. For many years, the superheroes of the Marvel Universe have been found on the pegs of toy aisles. Even today, they remain to be some of the most popular toy lines to both collectors and kids alike. But before there were Marvel Legends and the 3 3/4-inch Marvel Universe figures, there was a toy line that assisted in introducing many children to one of the most popular teams in comic book history. And that line was Toy Biz's Uncanny X-Men. Toy Biz's X-Men toy line hit store shelves in 1991. I immediately found myself drawn to these figures upon seeing them in the store. Since these figures were released before their hit cartoon series, this is how I really learned of the X-Men. In fact, these figures are what got me to start buying comic books in the first place. Once seeing the toys, I had to learn all about the X-Men. The initial wave included 9 figures, 2 playsets, and 2 vehicles. And that is where we're going to focus on today. The original series that kicked off a hugely successful line of action figures that would last for many years to come. The first wave of figures included 9 characters, 6 members of the X-Men, and 3 villains. The designs of the figures were all based off of the costumes the characters were currently seen wearing in the comics at the time. While the actual sculpt on these figures wasn't exactly the best, especially by today's standards, at the time they were really just fun toys. So let's take a look at each figure on an individual level. We'll kick things off with the very first X-Men figure I ever owned, Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler included a sword and had a really cool posable tail. Now, the one thing I have always found awkward about this figure are these suction cups. He included one on his left hand and another on his right knee. Of course, this was meant so you could recreate his climbing abilities. The only problem was that the suction cups weren't that good, and distracted from the overall look of the figure. Still, I hold a special place for this figure, as he was the first Marvel figure I ever owned. Cyclops was released wearing his X-Factor uniform, complete with the classic skull cap covering his hair. He had a switch on his back that, when pressed, enabled a light-up feature to simulate his optic blast. This light had a tendency to burn out rather quickly on a lot of figures, and there is no way to change the battery once it's dead. He also included this goofy looking accessory that supposedly is a Cerebro computer. I never liked it, so when I played with my figures, he just never used it. Colossus is made to be a little bigger than the rest of the team, so it's cool to see Toy Biz attempting to fit the figures to scale. The biggest problem with this figure was that his hands were stuck in a lifting position. He came with a barbell, and a switch on his back made him lift it. I guess since he's a strong character, they assumed that naturally his action feature should be him pumping iron. Although, I guess the feature is also good for recreating the fastball special. Wolverine was the one figure that took me forever to find as a kid. So stumbling upon him at the toy store was an exciting day for me. Wolverine instantly became one of my favorite characters. The figure features a removable mask, but it's a bit funny looking. That's because it's supposed to double as a ring. I always preferred him maskless anyway. The figure is much shorter than the rest, again showing that Toy Biz attempted to keep the characters in scale with how they appeared in the comic books. He also featured retractable claws. His arms had no elbow articulation because of this. The claws popped out and retracted, very similar to the lightsabers on the classic Star Wars toys. Archangel came in his blue and pink costume. The wings on the figure had the ability to flap when pressing a button on his back. They also featured tiny missiles in the corner of each wing. The missiles didn't really fire though. The best you could do is flick them out with your finger. Storm was the only female figure released in this initial wave. Toy companies always had a hard time with releasing females because the boys that the toys were marketed to had little interest in adding a girl to their collection. Apparently, that's how I felt, since Storm is the only figure I do not have for this set. She featured an all-black costume without her cape, and had a lightning bolt on her chest that lit up in a similar fashion to the Cyclops optic blast. Juggernaut was a decent-looking figure, as long as you looked at him from the front. For some reason, he was just really flat. You can tell while looking at him from the side just how flat he is. He also included wheels on his feet and a battering ram that you could set on his chest. I never really understood the point of either. I mean, he doesn't need a battering ram since he is a human battering ram, and the wheels just seemed goofy to me. Apocalypse was a tad too skinny for the character, but still a cool figure to have in the initial assortment. He has the ability to grow by stretching out his legs and his abdomen. Then there's Magneto, the arch enemy of the X-Men. The figure included a tiny cloth cape, which unfortunately I lost years ago. He also featured a removable helmet and 3 pieces of space junk. The cool thing about this figure is that his action feature actually fits with his power. He has small magnets in his chest and his hands. Small pieces of metal on the space junk allow him to magnetically hold on to them. The Danger Room playsets released were actually pretty neat. Wolverine's combat cave had a place to stand the figure and featured a small joystick to control him. Using the joystick, you could have Wolverine battle it out with a training robot, slice through a Magneto stand-up, or even knock down a brick wall. The Light Force Arena for Cyclops was even cooler. You could plug Cyclops into the stand featured on the playset. By pressing his optic blast button on his back, it hits a switch that triggers various activities. Depending on where you're aiming Cyclops, you could blast down a wall of bricks, explode a cinder block, or even blast Magneto. It's actually a really fun action feature. The initial wave did feature 2 vehicles, one for Wolverine and one for Magneto. Both were rather silly looking, really, and probably the one part of the initial line of toys that I would consider to be a low point. I can't say I ever recall seeing Magneto drive around in this ugly car. The Uncanny X-Men from 1991 obviously don't stand up to the action figures created today. But to me, they are still some of my all-time favorites, for the simple fact that these were the toys that started my love for comics and toys based off of comics. They don't have the best sculpts or the best articulation, and they're chock full of hokey action features. But they will always remind me of all the fun I had while playing with them. Alright gang, welcome back to the show. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's video review.
I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it?
I enjoyed it.
That's good. I had a lot of fun putting that one together.
I love the Magneto car.
You love the Magneto?
Yeah.
Magneto car?
You actually lied on that. I think it was Tuesday, I seen Magneto drive by in that car.
Really?
You said you never seen him?
I've never seen him driving it before.
Yeah, I was pulling out of Burger King.
And Magneto was just driving out with this
I was getting me a
thing?
Team Jacob card.
Oh,
he was
good.
just like, Scotty, Kiki! And he waved. I said, Magneto!
Good, great.
Scout's honor.
I don't know, like the vehicles, they did that a lot in the 90s for toy lines. Like, Dirt and I were just looking at the back of a Spider-Man box earlier, and it just had this goofy-looking Venom car that Venom was driving. And
Actually, I seen Venom on Monday.
You seen Venom driving his car?
This is ironic.
Like, the one thing, like, they kind of did the same thing with the figure on this car. It's got magnets all over it, and it's got these weird little magnetic discs, and they just stick all over the car. Different spots. I don't know if it sticks. Oh, it does. There's a magnet on the front, too. See, I didn't even know that. And, like, if you've got, like, the space junk that came with them, like, if you want to stick that to there. I don't know. Get out of here. Like, it almost seems pointless, but
get out of here.
It's got the magnetic stuff, and it throws it, too. Woo!
What'd you do?
I put it here, and I pulled the switch, and it flipped it out. Yeah, I don't know. The cars are kind of lame. I mean, even as a kid, I had absolutely no use for those. I did not want the vehicles.
I've never seen this until the video.
I got a good deal on it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even had it for the video. Actually, it came with my Danger Room playsets. So, but the playsets, on the other hand,
we need to customize it and make it like a He-Man car or something.
I don't think He-Man would even fit on that thing. Maybe New Adventures He-Man.
Orko, dude. Put Orko
in there. I do love the playsets.
Yep.
I remember when I was a kid, I wanted these, and for whatever reason, my mom wouldn't buy them for me. She's like, "You don't need those. They'll take up space. You don't need them." So I didn't get them until recently, when I knew that I wanted to have all this stuff for the video. I was like, I got to get these now. And you remember that podcast where we were talking about them?
Yep.
That's when I decided, I was like, I have to go get those things.
I got this thing. I got the thing from Ventures on clearance for like dirt cheap back in the day. But
I just feel like there's really not a whole lot you can do with them. I mean, they're kind of
Wolverine fights it.
Yeah, they got the cool little joystick thing. Like, let me see, I'll get them on there. But they seem like they would run out of fun quickly. You know what I mean?
Well, after you get bored with Wolverine, you just put on somebody else on there, and they can fight.
Oh, and they can fight. That's a good point.
Huh?
But it doesn't work really well as a good display piece or anything. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of neat. But
for back in the day, though, it wasn't that bad. Like if someone brought this out now, they'd be laughed off the toy room floor.
For sure.
What is this? What is this? What do you do with it?
Like the action features, I love the joystick idea, and I love It's not exactly the easiest thing to do, but like, yeah, well, Wolverine fell down.
Oh, you know we could use these for?
Poking through the action features and stuff like that. That's a really cool little thing.
We could also use these for bookends.
The wall for bookends.
Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
All right, we found another use for them. I do like that one better though, because I like.
Oh no!
That wasn't supposed to happen.
Oh.
I like the whole thing where like no matter wherever you point this, is what makes it is wherever you're pointing it is the thing that works. Like I'm pointing at the Magneto and it makes him float, and you point it at the brick and it makes the brick explode. I just think that's a cool feature.
I didn't have this one.
No.
Yeah.
That one would definitely be my favorite of the two.
Maybe this one wasn't at Ventures on sale, so I didn't get it.
What's your favorite one of the figures? I know you had all these too when you were
Colossus.
A kid.
Colossus
The
is
Colossus?
my favorite figure anyway.
The Colossus with weightlifting action.
Heck yeah. The Colossus and the Archangel were hard for me to find. I know you said Wolverine in the video was hard for you to find.
Wolverine
was the one I got first, and there was a crap ton of them.
Yeah.
So you must have been collecting them before me then.
Before or after, I don't know. I just know that this Wolverine figure right here was like one of my very first holy grails ever. Like, I wanted this figure so bad when I was a kid, and I couldn't find him anywhere. So anytime I went to any store, I frantically dug through all the X-Men figures. I flipped them everywhere. Frantically, because I wanted this toy. It's the only toy I wanted. So the day I finally found it, it was a very happy day for me. And that's really funny too, because you look back at these guys now, and you're just like, it's funny how I got so excited for this when I was younger. But I don't know, that Wolverine. There you go.
Can I have this?
You broke the wall. No, that's right.
I need another bookend.
And then Nightcrawler was the first Marvel
bought?
figure I ever had. This is the very first Marvel figure I ever owned right here, and I still have it. So it's another special one for me.
I probably still have my Wolverine. There's no way I have the mask.
Oh yeah,
No
I
way.
was really surprised I had it. And the crappy thing about the mask is it's so stretched out that like it doesn't stay on his face well.
Well, a lot of kids didn't wear their mask to school on their finger, Dan.
What? Why not?
I'm just saying.
It's the cool thing to do.
I had no idea.
I went to school and I was like, bam! I'm like Wolverine's #1 fan.
Oh yeah.
And everybody was like, "You're the best, Pixel Dan." That's what they.
Oh, they called you Pixel Dan back then?
They did, yeah.
I went to school with people that wore
like
rings.
Third grade, fourth
They
grade.
used to go, Wind, Water, Heart, stuff like that.
Yeah, Captain Planet.
Yep.
I got one of those too.
Bet you did. You didn't steal it by any chance, did you? Anyway.
See, yeah, the mask is so stretched out.
Where's his missiles?
I might have lost them.
And it also looked like the wings were white in the video.
Yeah, that's actually a later release.
This is the one that I have then, I think. Because I don't think I found the with the white wings.
They re-released him with the gray wings, and I think they
And a
re-released
different package,
Colossus.
too.
Yeah, different box later on.
Yep.
So that's actually the re-release. The white-winged one actually belonged to Killin' Enterprises. I borrowed it for the video. So if you guys would like to buy your own X-Men figures, be sure to check out KillinEnterprises.com because we have them for sale.
Make sure you put the email address up there.
I will.
Because then I look silly.
KillinEnterprises.com. Definitely check it out. But yeah, that one is the later release. And I think I was like you. I think I had a hard time finding Archangel when I was a kid.
Maybe
and I finally found him when they re-released him.
Maybe they were like, no one's going to want this. So we'll only make like 3.
Yeah. And then you couldn't find him
and
anywhere.
Killin got one.
And Killin got one.
He's like, when I grow up later on, I'm going to open a store and sell this. I better buy it.
when he was like 10.
Yeah.
Awesome. Storm is the only one I never had.
You didn't call me or I would have brought her.
Yeah, I didn't know you had her.
My Storm's lightning bolt doesn't work. My Cyclops still works.
Your Cyclops still works? Yeah, mine does too, but I've got 2 of them. One doesn't work and one does work.
Which is shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no way to fix the battery.
Mm-mm. They didn't start doing it until
on the newer Cyclops, they got a little thing on his back with a little screw, and
Storm.
You understand what I'm trying to say.
Storm and Cyclops were the only 2 that you weren't able to change the battery on, but as the line went on and got bigger, because there was like a Mr. Sinister figure, and you can change the battery on him and all that good stuff. So.
Mr. Sinister is awesome.
You remember that? Yeah, like this line went on for years and years after this. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest Marvel lines ever, and this was before, Marvel Legends was out and all that stuff, because this spawned so many different toy lines. Like, we had just the Marvel line that spawned off of this, and the X Factor line and all of that stuff. I mean, there was just so many of these to get. And of course, the X-Men cartoon series started right after this, so that just made the toy sales go even higher. So it's kind of a big deal.
I didn't do any research on this, but it seemed like these were always coming out. Anytime I went to Ventures, Kmart, there was no Walmart back then.
Not here, yeah.
Anytime I went there was always a new series of these.
Always.
There was always a new figure. So I mean that was another thing that just kept people collecting and collecting and collecting. I have a whole tote.
And they made so many characters.
Yep.
And like obscure characters, and they just made everybody.
I had no idea who Warpath was until they made Warpath as
the
a figure. And I fell in love with him.
Well, I had several figures as a kid because people would just buy me X-Men toys, like family members.
Plus they're like,
he likes X-Men.
$4.99.
They were like $5. They were cheap.
$5.35 with tax.
I just remember every Friday time for my allowance, it was time to run to Toys R Us and buy a new X-Men figure.
We've had this talk.
Yep, definitely we have.
Deja vu.
So yeah, there you go. There you have it. It's definitely one of my favorite toy lines of all time, and I know a lot of people out there probably also were collectors of this, just like myself and just like Scotty. So,
you want to see something?
Yeah, I do.
Watch this.
I want to see it.
Cuckoo coo! Ah!
That's amazing.
That's real. Be careful.
Cyclops with real optic blast action.
This is a variant.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into the fan corner of the show.
Alrighty.
We've got a few questions that were posted on the thatnewtoysmell.com forums, so we go ahead and look at those, and then we got a little bit of fan art we want to show you guys. So, let's start with... We're going to ask this question first. This one was asked by 0HP on the boards, and he asks... what item or items in your collection has gotten you into the most trouble with your significant other? Your girlfriend, your wife?
Yep.
If there's anything you've ever bought that you got in trouble for spending too much money on or anything like that?
Eternia. Absolutely.
Yeah?
And then after I got ripped off from the guy on the message board,
yeah.
I finally got my money back, and she was like, look, this is a sign. You need not to spend this much money on a frickin' toy. I got it anyway.
Yeah. Well, especially once you get like that dead set on getting that item, you can't just stop.
But my argument was I sold some toys to get the toy, so it wasn't any of her money, and it wasn't any bill money. It was like a trade.
It's your money. Yeah, that's right.
It was a trade.
That's right. I don't really think I have one of those stories. Crazy enough.
Every time a new poster comes, I get the look too. I don't get in trouble. I don't sleep on the couch for a week. But every time I get a new He-Man poster,
what do you need that
What's
for?
that? What is that? Where are we gonna put that?
Yeah.
Because now you got to see my basement now. Because I got like 4 or 5 since I think you've been over.
Really?
I don't even have anywhere to sit.
Well, that's like my collection room right now.
Yes.
It's so full of stuff.
Yeah.
I have nowhere to put it. I have nowhere to store it because the closet's overflowing. So like literally like I just keep stacking things up on the floor. So yeah, it's kind of gotten to a point now where anytime I buy random things like this, when it's not really part of my main collection, but I just buy a bunch of it and like I get a bunch of boxes from eBay, then I get the, what did you buy? Why do you need that stuff?
Why not?
And of course, my excuse now is always, it's for the show. It's for the show. See, I have the best excuse now.
Yeah.
It's just for the show. That's all. It's okay.
I need to start saying that for my posters.
There you go.
For the show. Why don't you do them? Why they just sit on the wall?
All right. Vinto at Arms, which is actually our friend Chris Vint of the Masters of the Universe Chronicles podcast, he asks, what's the one thing you have in your collection that others are very jealous of? I'm jealous of your Eternia.
I'm jealous of my Eternia, too. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that my friends have. I know what I'm jealous of. Duvall's, I guess it's not a toy, but he has the original Secret of the Sword poster that I just can't bring myself to spend the $75 on, or whatever it is.
Right, definitely.
But
I can't even think of anything in my collection that might make other people jealous.
Well, you have. Well, I can.
What?
Well, actually, not right now, because everybody else is caught up with your Masters of the Universe stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call.
Any day you'll have Randor and Goddess,
and then everybody will be jealous of me.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess that's really. I mean, I get a lot of that stuff in advance, so a lot of people are. Other than that, though, I mean,
that's a big deal, though.
It is a big deal. I guess it's a. Yeah, there we go. Everybody's jealous of Pixel Dan.
Everybody's jealous of your Magneto car, too.
The Magneto car is what makes everybody jealous.
I seen Killing Eye in it, so keep an eye on it.
Killen's gonna steal it?
Well, I'm not saying that.
Jerk. All right, one more question. Crash Murdoch asks, if price were no object, what is the one item you would love to add to your collection? I know that if I could just spend, and it's funny because we keep going back to He-Man, but you remember that the two of us that's our big main collections is He-Man stuff. So if I had,
you can't say more one. So you pick your words wisely.
I can't say more than one. It's hard, but I would have to say that if I had money to just spend on anything, I would probably spend it on like an in-box complete Eternia. That is, I would have to, because that's the one place that I've always wanted. It's the one place that I don't know if I'll ever own. I mean, I would definitely buy that if I could.
Mine is incomplete. So if I didn't have it, I'd probably say the same thing, but I super duper want a Titus.
Titus or Megator both.
They're like $700 to $1,000 for that.
And it's crazy, just for one big figure. And oh man, but I would love to add that to my collection. It's one of those holy grails of the Masters. I mean, there's so many of those. All that stuff that came out at the end of the line, it's so hard to get a hold of now.
It's ridiculous.
It sucks. But yeah, that is definitely what I would spend my money on.
You think that's like a sign, like he's just going to send that stuff to us? Oh, they want this. They want this.
You would be my favorite person, Crash Murdoch.
Second favorite.
Second favorite person. If you just send us both an Eternia or like a Titus and a Megator.
I'm sure he just has extra ones lying around.
We'll just make you like super fan. You'll be like that new Toy Smell super fan. We'll give you like a badge and stuff that you can wear. It'll be awesome.
Wow. I mean,
see?
You trade an Eternia and a Titus for a badge?
A badge, yeah.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, do it. We love it.
Next question.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead. That's going to wrap up questions. But what I do want to show off is some cool fan art that was sent in to us.
Is this painted, drawn, or is this computer image?
It looks like it's all
computer images?
Yep.
Right. It's still a great job. You can tell he took his time on it and everything.
Definitely.
The coloring's beautiful.
Joseph sent this stuff into us. We're going to throw it up on the screen now. Basically, all he did was just do some of his own renditions of the That New Toy Smell logo, but they are really cool-looking logos, and there's a good chance we might be using these just because I like them that much.
Should we get the written consent?
He gave us consent to use them for whatever we want to use them for, so I want to give a huge thank you to Joseph for sending that our way. These are awesome, and he did actually tell me that he's in the process of working on some cartoon drawings of all of us.
Oh, yeah?
And he's going to send that to us also. So once we get that, I'm definitely going to show that off too, because I'm excited to see that. But we definitely want to thank Joseph for sending in that fan art. Guys, if any of you out there have fan art you want to send us, or if you have questions you want to ask us, there's a couple different ways you can get it to us. First and foremost, head over to thatnewtoysmell.com and click on the forums. You will see a thread in there for show questions. You will also see a thread for fan art. Post away. We'll definitely use it here on the show. Or if you'd rather use the email route, you can always send us an email at tntsadmin@gmail.com.
I was going to say, or if they want to draw me a picture, I can sure fit it on my He-Man wall somewhere.
Hey, draw Scotty a cool He-Man picture.
I'm always open. Actually, I talked to somebody on the board, and I can't remember the guy that drew Mosquito for you. Who did that?
I don't remember right now, and I apologize, but I don't remember his name.
I talked to him. I have his email and everything. I think his name's... I won't even say it. I'll just embarrass myself. But I talked to him, and he said once he gets a couple things out of the way, he's going to draw me a Battle Armor He-Man, Battle Armor Skeletor going at it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. See, and we love to see that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
So if you guys are good at fan art or any of that kind of stuff, artwork, drawing, yeah, send that to us. We would love to see it. And before we wrap things off, just want to remind you guys, if you head over to VGLosers.com, you can always check out the latest podcast we have going. We have so many different podcasts we're running now.
We are Podcast Central.
That's right. So you can always join Scotty for the MMA podcast, The Weigh In. You can join Dirt with the Wrestling Radio podcast. He's also got the new, what is it called? The Panels to Paper podcast, or it's the new comic book podcast he just started. It's up on the front page of the site now. And your fantasy football podcast. So all that great stuff is over there, as well as comic book reviews and everything. And if you guys are looking for a great way to stock up your collection, to fit in some new toys, or video games, or DVDs, or comic books, or anything like that, make sure you check out our official store at killenenterprises.com. And of course, you can always see new episodes of That New Toy Smell every Saturday, as well as toy reviews throughout the week at our home on the internet, thatnewtoysmell.com. And that's going to wrap up this Saturday's episode of the show. So until next week, guys, I'm Pixel Dan.
Scotty Cash.
We'll see you then.